Hello and welcome. Today's webinar will provide participants with information about factors that may create barriers provided to assist you with developing a toileting plan for your child. My name is Dan McCloy. I'm part of the team at OTAC, and we're glad you're able to join us today. This webinar is being brought to you by Oregon Technical Assistance Corporation. OTAC has been providing training and technical assistance to professionals and citizens concerned about intellectual and developmental disabilities since 1984. Participants in today's forum can submit questions through the chat box on the webinar console anytime during the presentation, and we'll have time for a short question and answer session live today. Your telephones and microphones have been muted for this call. The recording of today's forum will be posted later today on the OTAC website. So I want to thank you all again for being with us today, and I'll turn it over to Stephanie Hunter.
Hello, and I'm going to check the sound real quick before I keep going. Okay, thumbs up. Hello everyone, I am Stephanie Hunter, and I will be your presenter today on toilet training strategies. And Jenny Heydrich is managing the chat box, so if you have any questions during the presentation, she will be there for you. And we will do a Q&A at the end of the presentation for any specific questions that you might have as well. All right, so I'm going to jump right in. So one of the things I want to make sure that we share before we get started is that everyone is different in their needs around toilet training. And there's a lot of different methods. There's formal toilet training programs, and we're not covering those things today. Today we're going to look at understanding the needs that the person has. And sorry, I'm going to take a drink because my voice is getting scratchy. We're going to approach this from a positive behavior support standpoint. So understanding the needs that the person has, what support will best fit them in terms of toilet training success. During this presentation, I might say parents and child. And when I talk about parent, that is anybody in a support role. And when I say child, that could be a child of any age. So that's not talking about young children. I'm talking about anybody, no matter what age, who needs toilet training support. So this is how we're going to take you through the presentation today. We're going to be taking a behavioral approach, not looking at toilet training as a behavior of concern, but looking at how, using positive behavior supports, we can rule out any environmental and physiological factors that may impact toileting success. Once we're able to remove those barriers, we can increase skills. We're going to look at what we mean by toileting readiness and how to assess where a person's at in their readiness for toileting, and if a person is still in those early stages, how you can support them. And what developing a routine and support and skills around toileting training, and then how to celebrate. Woohoo! So this is, if you've been to an OTAC training before, this is a familiar metaphor, the iceberg. So bear with us because there's probably some new folks on the line. So the iceberg is, there's only the behavior that we see is what's above the surface, and that is a very small part of what's going on below the surface, which are the support needs. So using that behavioral approach to thinking about toileting barriers, we see the behaviors above the surface, either challenging or not challenging, that we are experiencing in the process of supporting a person to use the toilet. And when we experience these barriers, we need to look a little bit deeper. We need to look below the surface because that's where our best information is going to be coming from. So some of these factors might be, is the person confused? Are they not sure what's expected of them when they're in the bathroom? Do they understand the expectations? One thing around confusion is also generalization. So a person that may have learned how to use the bathroom at home, they may not also be able to use the bathroom at someone else's home, or a toilet that's a different color, or the toilet at the mall. So that confusion could be related to needing to relearn how to use different toilets in different locations. There could be, the bathroom is kind of a scary place if you're new to the bathroom for young kids. And then also maybe if you've had bad experiences in the bathroom, or just the sounds, the smells, the temperature change, the cold tile, all of those things that the bathroom experience could be difficult for a person who has sensory processing challenges. So there could be some fear related to that. For my own child, the very first time she went into a bathroom with an automatic flushing toilet created a fear in her of flushing, because it was loud and it was sudden and it was unexpected. And so that noise of it created some hesitation there and success for the future. But again, we got over that. What you also might see in the bathroom above the surface is maybe the person is wanting to flush a lot, or they're there might be smeary feces, various challenges because playing with the water in the sink, because the person actually sees the bathroom that is a toy. The bathroom is a place to meet your sensory needs. I want to be in the bathroom because I can play with water. I want to be in the bathroom because the flushing sound is pretty cool. So that can be a barrier to getting in the way of using the bathroom for its intended function, which is to use the bathroom. So there's when we talk about diagnoses, it's not how I want to present that as a barrier is it's how the person processes information. So where they're at developmentally, and if a person is, if they have challenges, like down below we talk about limited fine and gross motor skills, if they are focusing on putting one foot in the front of the other successfully, they might not also still be at the place where they can also balance themselves and understand the steps to transitioning to the toilet and all of the mini skills that go into that process. So looking at a person and where they're at and how they process information in relation to sensory needs, fine and gross motor skills is another factor that we're going to look at below the surface. A few slides in, we're going to talk about medical challenges that could be getting in the way, but you're definitely going to avoid the bathroom if you had an experience of pain in the bathroom. Either, one experience can set the tone for future trips to the bathroom, but if there's any chronic pain or discomfort related to using the bathroom, and that's going to be subjective to the person. So people that are still learning to use the bathroom, that are learning what those feelings are of going to the bathroom, that could be very difficult for them. So that is our first step, is to assess and determine what barriers might be in the way to the above the surface challenges that we see. I gave a few examples, but so these are some examples of sensory challenges that could be getting in the way in the bathroom. The big gaping hole, where does it go, and what's going to happen, and this thing that's a part of my body is going to be disappearing. So there's some, this could be scary, and so that is one piece. And then if balance and coordination is a challenge, being worried that you will actually fall into the toilet, not being able to position yourself correctly. If you experience sensory challenges, the toilet paper actually could feel uncomfortable to you. For those of us that don't have sensory challenges, toilet paper is toilet paper, but for some people it could literally feel like sandpaper. And we have our lovely image here to highlight how awful that could be. The bathroom, the temperature it's usually colder in the bathroom than the rest of the house. But sometimes it's hotter than the rest of the house. It really depends on how your house is put together. And then if somebody maybe has just taken a shower, there's moisture. So a consistent environment in the bathroom could be part of the challenge. And then the lights in the bathroom could be too bright. So there's a lot of factors. The flushing could be too loud. Some medical factors to consider, and chances are if you are supporting a person who is learning how to use the bathroom, or it's, you know, you've been working on toileting for a while, you've already ruled out medical, but there might be some new information here that you haven't heard. So one of the things is some people experience gastrointestinal issues related to their diagnoses. And so chronic constipation is a challenge for them just in an ongoing basis. So that that feeling of constipation can be, you would think, why don't you want to use the bathroom so you feel better? But the person might not have made that connection that going to the bathroom will actually help relieve this pain that they're experiencing. And they may honestly be trying and they aren't able to because they're constipated. And so those are some factors to rule out. Definitely, talk to a doctor because constipation could be fatal. If the person is taking medications, the side effects to medication can sometimes cause constipation, but also can cause diarrhea. And so a person, for whatever reason, that inconsistency in their, bowel and bladder movements could be related to some barriers. Medication can also cause increased hunger and increased thirst, or decreased hunger and decreased thirst. So those are factors to consider. Food allergies and intolerances can change your bowel and bladder movements. So that could also be a factor. Food intolerance, when you have a food allergy, you break out, you feel sick. Food intolerances are subtle, and they may just cause, you might feel bloated, or you might have increased gas, and you don't necessarily make that connection that it's the food, or you do, but you're not sure which food. So it is, if you're a parent and the child that your child is experiencing toileting challenges, it is a good idea to maybe talk to a doctor about allergies, or a naturopathic doctor about food intolerances. The naturopathic doctors tend to have that's more of what they do in terms of helping people with diet, nutrition, and understanding what foods might be causing some of those toileting-related challenges. Certain foods like, well, I won't go into that, but different foods can cause different intolerances. And so there could be some diagnostic factors, and one common one that I've run into is tethered cord syndrome. And there's been a few people that I've worked with who have, it's related to, it's a spinal related issue, and closely related to spina bifida, but it also impacts people with other disabilities as well. And it can occur later in life. It can occur in your teens and adult, where you have, this is something you definitely want to investigate if a person has been successful toileting and then starts having more accidents, and the accidents seem to frustrate them as much as everyone else, because that could be a symptom of tethered cord syndrome. So it's definitely something to research. There's a link at the end of this presentation that Dan will send out to everyone after the webinar that has more information about tethered cord syndrome. So now that we are, so in the process of assessing, we're going to start building a routine. But before we can build a routine, we're still looking below the surface and determining other barriers. And one of those might be your child having enough information about the toileting process. So we call these the all-important questions, and we've modified them a little bit to be, based around toileting, making sure that your child has the information about where they're going. So, for that child, where they're at, what does going to the bathroom, how do you let them know? Is it a sign? Is it a picture? Is it just telling them? Is there some kind of transition object where you hand them the toilet paper and then they go into the bathroom? What's expected of me to do in the bathroom? In a few slides in, we'll look over some routines that might help answer that question if the expectation of what do I do in the bathroom is not clear for the child. How long will I be in the bathroom? And this is something I've experienced with people I support, where there's just not knowing how long I will be in there is a hindrance to wanting to go into the bathroom at all. And by answering the question of how long you'll be in the bathroom, it's not, especially for somebody just learning to go to the bathroom, the answer is not until you're finished. It might be leaving the bathroom before you've completed. So that will be important to assess. How will I know I'm finished in the bathroom? And ideally, it's because you've done your business in the toilet and you're finished, but it might look a little bit different for somebody who's still learning. So knowing when you're finished is going to help give that information that could be creating a barrier now. What happens after I'm done in the bathroom? So what happens next? For example, when do I get to finish my game? So if the person was in the middle of a game or a preferred activity and it's time to go to the bathroom, making sure that they're able to return to what they were doing if that's possible, or what's happening after the bathroom. And we'll talk a little further in about reinforcement and why you should or shouldn't use that and what that looks like. And then for who will help me in the bathroom, and this is important because sometimes there might be a preference as to who helps me in the bathroom. If you're supporting people that live in foster care or group homes, there's always somebody different taking you to the bathroom sometimes. So that could be a really important answer for that person. Who's helping me in the bathroom? And in building that routine, you might want to also build in, who is helping me in the bathroom as well. So after we have done our assessment process, we're going to determine where the person's at, determine their readiness. So a few things before you determine readiness to look at, or part of the readiness process is understanding their awareness of elimination and defecation. And sometimes it's hard to assess a person's awareness level if their interest in the bathroom is not obvious. They may be interested in the bathroom to playing in the bathroom, but not necessarily using the bathroom. But if typically you might see a person looking to see what other people are doing in the bathroom or wanting to copy what you're doing in the bathroom. And if you're not seeing those signs of awareness, that doesn't mean that the child's not aware of what goes on in the bathroom. It might look a little bit different for them. So understanding what their awareness level is based on where they're at. Their developmental stage. And so if a person is having challenges with fine and gross motor skills, communication, other basic daily living skills, we're still going to start working on toileting, but we're going to meet that person where they're at. So a person of any age might still be in the early stages of learning how to use the bathroom. So we're going to not, if the person is 19, we're not going to approach them with the expectation of what a 19-year-old can do in the bathroom. We're going to approach them from the expectation of you are still learning this skill. This is new information for you. So we're going to meet them where they're at. And then you'll assess physiological factors. If the person, when they're wearing a pull-up or adult undergarment, if they're not holding their bladder at all, that is definitely a sign that they're at an early stage. If the person, wake up dry from naps or sleeping at night, they're going to be more close to that readiness stage to learn to be completely continent. So you also want to, as we talked about medical conditions, that those can get in the way of a person's readiness. So here's some things on the slide here just to go over. Is the person able to actually sit and hold their body in an upright position? That's an important factor. Feeling comfortable on the toilet. So there's various, you can use a stool for support for the feet. There's different, sometimes the soft toilet lids could be helpful if sitting on a cold toilet, or different seats that you can get that might help. For people with challenges with their upper mobility, there's braces that they can put on so they can feel safe on the toilet, or you can have armrests on the side. So addressing that to help the person be able to sit and hold their body upright. Is the person showing, when they're in the bathroom, are they cooperation? Are they helpful, or allowing you to support them in undressing and the various things that go along? That shows that they understand the process of what needs to happen in the bathroom and the expectations. And is there interest in other things in the bathroom, like flushing the toilet, washing your hands, taking a bath? And does the person seem uncomfortable when they're soiled or wet? So if you see these signs that the person is able to meet these basic areas, then their readiness to be a continent is they're pretty close. But we're going to talk about if a person's not here at step 2, how to support that person. So you're having some data, which we all love data, but this very, very basic data, because we know that for those of you that are family members, taking data is not something you'll relish adding to your day. So very informal data, and this is data you probably already know but don't realize you know. So this is going to be when your child when they eat and drink, when do they go to the bathroom throughout the day, and you start to look for patterns. So just write this information down over a couple days, and you'll start to see the patterns of when the child goes to the bathroom. And that is when you can start putting supports in place to teach toileting strategies. So habit training is what this is this is going to be for somebody who's not quite at that readiness stage. However, I want to say that habit training is not going to hinder a person who actually is meeting those readiness signs as well. So this is a method that you could use for an early learner and somebody who is close to being continent as well. And so habit training is basically the act of training your bowels and bladders by using the toilet on a time schedule rather than focusing on developing spontaneous conscious awareness of going to the bathroom. The goal of habit training is not necessarily independence in the bathroom. It's a way to provide dignity and improve hygiene, and the positive side effect is the person gets in a habit of using the bathroom independently. And so this is where your data is going to come in handy, because you will know those times when to help the person develop the habit of going into the bathroom. So these areas here are when habit training is the most helpful. If the person is not showing awareness of when they need to go, they are not bothered by wet or soiled clothes or undergarments. If the person is over the age of 6 and you've tried everything and nothing else seems to be working, And if the person is has those uneven patterns of development, so the person can dress themselves and make a grilled cheese sandwich, but they're still not able to use the toilet independently. So they have those uneven patterns of development. So they just need a little bit of boost in developing the habit of going to the bathroom. And with habit training, again, the goal is if the person becomes fully continent and is able to spontaneously use the bathroom, awesome. But the goal of habit training is merely to build the habit of you going into the bathroom at certain times in the day when your body is most ready to use the toilet. So the primary goal of habit training is to increase dignity and hygiene for a person. And sometimes when you've been supporting a person and toilet training doesn't seem like it's working, we sometimes might wait until that person is soiled or wet to help them get clean. So habit training is going to be not waiting until that happens, but about 10 or 15 minutes before that you would help them into the bathroom, for example. So these are some of the steps to habit training. So you're going to use your data, and like I said, about 5 to 15 minutes before your child would usually go to the bathroom is when you're going to help them to the bathroom. And you're going to, ensure, so get them into the bathroom. You don't, one of the things that sometimes happens is we check to see if the person is dry before starting maybe out in a common area, and we want to be actually checking to see if the person is dry in the bathroom. So we're already in the bathroom at that point. And especially over the age of 6, all toileting related stuff should be happening in the bathroom unless there's barriers and fears where the person is simply will not go into the bathroom, and that's where you're going to meet them where they're at. And sometimes it's easier to use a changing pad and help a person get clean and move on, but we should be doing all of this in the bathroom and using the habit training steps so the person really understands the bathroom is where this happens. So you're in the bathroom, you're ensuring if they're dry before starting, and if they're already wet, you might have them sit, but you also might just help them get clean and get back to their routine. You want to start trying to keep meal and fluid times as consistent as possible. I know this is hard because a lot of our kids are great, like they tend to graze and are eating constantly throughout the day. So do your best to keep meal and fluid times consistent. Follow a toileting routine, which we'll go into on the next couple slides. And then when in that habit training process, if your child is successfully going after sitting on the toilet within 2 or 3 minutes, then you are on the road to that continence and being able to teach the skills of understanding when you need to go to the bathroom spontaneously without somebody taking you to the bathroom. And then the other thing that's important related to consistent meal and fluid times is regular exercise and movement, especially when a person experiences constipation, in order to keep the blood flowing and keep them moving. That helps decrease constipation. So now we're moving into step 3. We've assessed the barriers. We are putting our supports in place. We're taking our data. So now we're going to develop those supports. So we're going to look at developing routines to help decrease confusion, looking at, once we've identified those barriers, how to remove them from the environment. We're going to look at some how to prepare the environment for success and also some stress reducers, and then what teaching those skills to support independence look like. So developing a routine, you're going to, we don't need to teach what your child already knows, but it is helpful to start at a place. So if your child already knows, I go into the bathroom, I pull down my pants, sit on the toilet, that's not necessarily, we don't teach those steps. So assess what your child already knows so you know where to start the teaching process. because you might be teaching toilet training, breaking it down into the smallest parts of the skill and teaching each step individually towards using the toilet. So assess what they already know. And this is a part of habit training as well, is attach toileting to a current routine. So this, we go to the bathroom before we eat. We go to the bathroom before we get in the car to leave the house. We go to the bathroom before bed. We go to the bathroom when we get up in the morning. And this is where habit training is different than trip training, which you might be familiar with. Trip training is every 90 minutes you go to the bathroom. Habit training is merely finding those times within a day when you would naturally use the bathroom. And this is it's better for a person. It's less stressful to have them go to the bathroom at these natural times, but also it's less stressful just in the family structure as well. So that can help with developing routine as well, and helps to lower stress. And then this is where your data comes in, and you're going to help make a schedule for your child and choose times when they're going to be the most successful. So here's an example of a picture schedule for another routine that happens in the bathroom, which is washing your hands. Oops. So as I had mentioned before, you might be breaking this out into the individual skills. So for hand washing, for example, this is breaking out the process into each individual step of hand washing. So as you can see, it's a little bit more complicated than just putting the soap on your hand and rubbing them together. So here's an example of a toilet training schedule strip that you might use. So this here is a check schedule. So this, for example, if the child is using a daily schedule for other routines, they would check the schedule to see that it's time to go to the bathroom. And then it breaks down the skill into pulling your pants down, pulling down your underwear, sitting on the toilet, using the toilet. This even might show how many squares of toilet paper are necessary. And then so it breaks down the skill all the way down to flushing. And this was something that for me as a parent, when trying to teach my daughter how to use the toilet, it did not make any sense to her. And then when I presented her with the information broken down in the picture form, I mean, the look of awareness on her face was, she didn't actually say the words, but her face said, like, oh, why didn't you tell me? It was really, really clear to her what the expectation was after I broke out the steps for her. So this might be helpful to show that routine. And one thing that happens is when we get to the habit or the routine of using these pictures, sometimes we stop using them. And then we might see the person regressing a bit in skill. So don't remove these from the environment until you're truly sure that the person understands. And if once you remove them from the environment, the challenges with toileting come back, just reintroduce the routine. What you might find too is that when like breaks from school or holidays, if the person is out of their regular routine, it can throw off the toileting routine. So you might find that you have to reintroduce visual routines for a person at times when their regular daily schedule's off. So the other part of supporting a person is understanding how to give them information. And so when we talk about supporting communication, it's reciprocal communication, how we understand what they're communicating to us and how they understand what we're communicating to them. And we can use, I was introduced recently to the term total communication, which I really like. And what total communication is that you're not only using sign, you're not only using words, you're not only using line drawings, but you're using any form of communication that works for that person. So you're mixing up all of the different forms. So you might need to use an object routine or parts of that routine are in object form. So here's an example below of what an object routine looks like. This brown toilet paper roll here represents go to the bathroom. This represents wash face, and then this represents it's time to go eat. So the spoon represents that, and so this is their schedule that lets them know in objects what the expectation is, and they get to see that after I go to the bathroom and wash my face, I can eat. So you're going to watch, you know the person well, and you understand their communication, even if they don't use words to communicate. So you watch for their signs and help other people understand who might be supporting them in the bathroom. And so those signs might be, grabbing at their clothing. They might go to hide in the closet. They might get really, really quiet or really, really loud. So all these things that you automatically know mean the person needs support in the bathroom, to go to the bathroom, or to, because they're wet or soiled. Don't take that information for granted. Use that as an opportunity to teach either more clear communication or help other people understand, when she grabs at her clothes, that means she needs to go to the bathroom, and you better get her in there quick. Using transition objects can be really helpful. So for example, if maybe when you go to the bathroom, for the first thing you do is brush your teeth, you're handing the person their toothbrush, and then they go in the bathroom and start the routine, which includes toileting. If a person likes to take a bath but doesn't like to sit on the toilet, the transition object might be, showing them the toilet paper roll and then the towel, and saying, first toilet, then bath. So the person can see with what you have in your hands what's going to happen next in the bathroom, and that the bath happens after they sit on the toilet. Social stories are an example of a visual way that you can give the person information to use the toilet. And there's a lot of different examples. Jenny, do you have any on your computer by chance? I didn't prep any examples, it says, of social stories in the what we send out. Okay, so you guys are going to get an email after the fact, and we'll send you some examples of social stories that that you can use or borrow from to make your own. So what a social story is, it comes in many forms. It could be social stories could be sticky notes that tell a little story about how that person's going to go to the bathroom. They could be a story that you make, and at times away from the bathroom you're going over it. One of my favorite examples of a social story that someone here at OTAC made was this young person's favorite actor was Neil Patrick Harris. And so this whole social story is pictures of Neil Patrick Harris talking about how he goes to the bathroom. And this was very appealing, so, and it worked. So you can, use favorite cartoon characters, you can use favorites, different themes that, if the person wants to be a fireman when they grow up, like, hey, it's important to use the bathroom before you go, put out the fires. Whatever is going to work for that person and be visually appealing, and also kind of meet them where they're at in their interest level. Social stories can be, if you go to YouTube and you search for autism toilet training, you will find some very unique and interesting information and good stuff. Not, it's typically personalized for somebody else, but it will give you some ideas. And making videos now as a whole is very easy. So of course we're going to be dignity and respect and all that. It's not going to be actually showing the person using the toilet, but we can incorporate those steps, with clothes on in a video format for that person to watch and give them the information. Another example was a training I went to. This is related to toilet training in a more socially acceptable way for somebody who already has the skill of how to use a urinal and the rules of how to use a urinal. So there's YouTube videos on, for young men on the rules about how to use a urinal. So those things are important, and visual social story. And social stories can also include medical information, what the risks of refusing, so those social and health-related information can be included in the social story. One important thing about social stories and toilet training in general is that the information is delivered in a positive way. So these are some ideas for helping to reduce the stress around toileting. When our kids are really young, we have the diaper bag that we take for granted, and then when our kids get older, we might not remember to keep everything with us because our goal is to use the toilet appropriately. So I'm not saying, oh, keep using a diaper bag. I'm just saying the concept of having everything you need in one place lowers stress immensely. So keep a backpack in the car that has a cleanup kit, that has an extra change of clothes, that has wipes, that has hand sanitizer, anything that you might need when you're out in the community to help with hygiene and dignity. But also at home, especially if frequent cleanups are needed of the person or the environment, having a cleanup kit that has your paper towels and your bleach spray and anything that you might need with gloves, all of that, keeping it in one place, so all you have to do is grab one thing to go clean up a mess, can really help lower stress. If you have providers in your home, make sure that you are providing them with universal precaution kits, so they have gloves and they have any bloodborne pathogen related support. So that is something that sometimes we have our grandmas and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters providing support in our home for us. So we take for granted that they're family, but it's important to also provide them with that cleanup and universal precaution support. So installing a bidet attachment to the toilet, and they're pretty low cost on Amazon or the various shopping sites. Bidets that you can attach to your toilet, so you don't have to get a brand new toilet, and that can really just help with cleanup and make it easier, especially for a person with mobility challenges where wiping is really difficult for them. There are also supports that you can use. It's a wipe wand is an example where you can put toilet paper on the end of it, and the person who might have limited reach is able to have their own independence of being able to wipe themselves and not have somebody in the bathroom with them if they want privacy. Flushable wipes, and I've been hearing that flushable wipes are not really flushable, so you take that with caution or have a really good septic system, but do your homework and determine if flushable wipes, because that might, if the toilet paper feels like sandpaper for the person, a flushable wipe might be preferable, or keeping a garbage can next to the toilet and they can use just regular wipes. There's adaptive clothing that you can get, and adaptive clothing has become more fashionable over the years, thankfully. And I find when I'm searching for adaptive clothing, which, and what I mean by adaptive clothing is clothing that makes it easier for a person to either be cleaned if they need to be, support for that, or easier to be independent in the bathroom if necessary. But if you can sometimes actually on Alzheimer's support sites, you can find clothing that will, adaptive clothing for incontinence accidents. Waterproof mattresses or mattress pads are helpful for not having to replace mattresses frequently, and overstock on towels and washcloths so you don't run out. There's nothing more frustrating than needing to clean something and not having a towel or washcloth. So just make sure you always have a good supply. And having waterproof cases for devices if the person uses an iPad or a tablet for longer sits on the toilet. So make sure that's waterproof and smash-proof if possible. Some ways that you can adapt the toileting environment, maybe put some dimmer lights in. If there's things that are distracting in the environment, remove those. If flushing is either something the person doesn't like or something they like too much, avoid flushing. Supporting stability, so I talked about stools, so the feet aren't dangling, and also so the person can get up onto the toilet on their own as well. Controlling the temperature of the room as much as possible, using a wipe warmer. Be careful with wipe warmers because make sure you unplug them because those could be a fire hazard. And then knowing what the person needs in terms of privacy. I've worked with several folks who are learning how to use the bathroom independently, and one thing that we learned is that they wanted to be independent in the bathroom. They wanted privacy, but it took us a while to pick up on that. And so helping the person have privacy in the bathroom, and sometimes what that means is that we might be doing a little bit more cleanup. But especially if a person is experiencing constipation and constipation that results in having to go to the ER, if privacy is what will help them go, that's preferable. Understanding even just where do I put my feet. So here's an example here of where to put my feet, where do I stand, how much toilet paper do I use. So got down to the blue line 3 times, for example. And then if there's fear around going to the bathroom or fear of elimination, and sometimes people will have bladder control before they have bowel control, so understand that it might take some time for bowel control. But some examples would be allowing your child to sit in the toilet with the diaper on, and then maybe starting to slowly cut the diaper away over time. And this could also be because some people like the pressure of the diaper or the pull-up. So, and they might like actually the weight of a soiled diaper. So this gives them some time to get used to eventually not needing that support of the pull-up. Keep the lid closed when practicing to sit down, so there's no, we're just practicing sitting down. You don't have to, sit on the toilet, the big hole over the water. And then before you wipe, have the person touch and hold the toilet paper so they can get that feel of the toilet paper, so there isn't that tactile wanting to avoid that. Having your child, maybe like what you might do as part of the scheduling routine, for example, is get off the toilet, pull up pants, wash hands, open the door to the bathroom, and then flush the toilet. That way the person can run out of the bathroom because the door is already open after they flush if the sound of that bothers them, but then they can also learn to tolerate that. Or using, making it fun. Ready, set, flush, go, and then run out of the bathroom. And if there's fear around the bathroom, you want to be very, very sensitive, very, very positive. This, could see, what am I talking about reinforcement systems? I think the next slide. So in terms of developing the skill, here we're at desensitization. We're just trying to create, decrease fear, decrease the barrier of actually being in the bathroom. And then in developing the skill, when we're able to increase the sitting time on the toilet, you might have a visual timer, or we'll count to 30, and then it'll be time to be done sitting. We want to keep expectations for sitting really short at first. So, it might be, 30 seconds to 10 seconds. Because the goal is just to sit, and then maybe we can go to 20 seconds to 30 seconds to 1 minute over a period of time to get those longer sits. If the person kind of sits down, stands up, sits down, stands up, you might place like a small table TV tray over their lap that has items that are entertaining but not overstimulating, so they forget to, they don't release. And then you can also maybe have a sensory, like a weighted item, like a rice and bean-filled sock, or a sensory lap pad that kind of helps them have a, not to hold them down, but to provide them with that sensory support. And in terms of reinforcement systems, it's really common to have systems in place where the person might get an M&M or computer time after being successful in the toilet, in the bathroom. And the challenge with that is that is assuming that the person is not motivated to learn how to use the bathroom, and people, everyone is motivated to learn. And when we looked at that iceberg earlier, there's barriers in the way to learning how to use the bathroom independently. So if we are saying if you go to the bathroom you can have the computer, if you go to the bathroom you can have a piece of candy, that's assuming that the person is not using the toilet on purpose and that they have more control over that. And yes, sometimes those rewards work, and so that can be confusing for us, because sometimes it works. But what happens is if you don't get the reinforcement, you're actually being punished for not using the toilet. So that can be very confusing for a person. So if you have used reinforcement systems and you're just like, they work for me, and that works, then it works. But if it's not working or it's inconsistent, then chances are that the reinforcement system actually might be decreasing the success in the bathroom. So that's where the routine comes in. So, first sit on the toilet, follow this routine, and then you can, get back to your routine. And ideally that routine, it doesn't have to be a highly stimulating, super awesome preferred activity, but it's something that the person likes to do. So using the routine as the reinforcement versus stuff as the reinforcement. And with that said, in the terms of having the small table that you might use or preferred toys to get those longer sits, that could be something that is like a toy that you only get to use when you're in the bathroom. And so that wouldn't be a reinforcement system. That would just be part of the routine. You get the toy because you went on the toilet. You get the toy while you're sitting on the toilet. So these are some strategies that you might use. This is going to be for that person who is, they're ready to, they're close to being able to spontaneously, they're very ready to be able to become fully continent. You could use some of these in the habit training approach as well. But teaching that bowel and bladder control, such as maybe showing the person how to gently apply pressure to their lower abdomen to help empty the bladder, or having your feet on a stool, and with pushing in, we want to be careful. We don't want the person to get hemorrhoids. Sorry, my co-trainer here is sending me signals, and I can't understand what she's saying. But you might show them how to put their feet on the stool and clench their fists, and again, we don't want to teach pushing too much. You might use the potty dolls are a popular method, where the doll drinks and then you push on their tummy and then they go in a little toilet. That might be helpful for your child. In the process of modeling for your child, take my turn, your turn, using those visuals for showing how you're following the routine. This is what it looks like. Now you copy me. When you're teaching your child how to dress themselves, how to wipe themselves, maybe putting the toilet paper in their hand and then helping them wipe themselves, helping them maybe pull their pants up to their knees, and then you help guide their hands to pull their pants up the rest of the way. So helping them be a part of that process. And then use what's called chaining to support independence. So chaining is breaking that skill down into those very, very small pieces. So we talked about that earlier, where you use that routine. So if a person isn't, so this chaining is going to fit anybody where they're at. Start with where, like, their skill level in the bathroom, and then teach each skill individually towards the goal of independence in the bathroom. And, you know, take as long as that person needs to learn that skill. So these are some things to avoid holding a person down on the toilet, because that can create fear. And it also, you know, if you're anxious, nervous, or feel controlled, it's hard to release as well. Responding emotionally if the person has had an accident. If your child is successful on the toilet, going yay and getting really, really excited, because that can also actually be anxiety producing. So, you know, keeping it positive, but, you know, level. When there's an accident or when there's success. We're making toileting is just a part of your day. It's not something that you think about a lot. That's the goal. We want it to just be a part of the day, and understanding that our kids need more support and more time to learn this skill and be successful. We want to avoid anything that creates any guilt or shame, such as, you know, only babies wear diapers. This is especially for the child who is sometimes successful in the toilet and sometimes not. It starts to feel like it's on purpose. And there's things can sometimes look like they're on purpose, and there's something else. There's something below the surface of that iceberg that is driving that challenge that looks purposeful. So that inconsistency sometimes causes us to get emotional and maybe, you know, say things like that. So we want to avoid that. Trying to push, we want to gently nudge a child to overcome their fear. We want to go back to those skills on the desensitization slide, but we don't want to push too much, because there's a fear there. And when you're afraid of something, you will do anything to avoid that fear. And sometimes a child who is not aggressive will become aggressive if we push them past their point of fear. And then avoid giving more fluids or decreasing fluids to have control. Try to just keep, you know, the regular, you know, use that habit training routine where you know when the person eats and drinks in relation to when they have bladder and bowel movements, versus trying to play around with that. And then avoid rushing as much as possible in the routine. I mean, sometimes we're in a hurry and it can't be helped, but try to, that's where the habit training is helpful, because it's, you know, before we leave, it's, you know, when we get home, it becomes part of the routine. So you already have it in your mind, and you know that we need to plan for this as well. It becomes part of your routine. So these are going to be some signs that you are in the zone of success. Your child is telling you they need to use the bathroom. They are going to the bathroom on their own without somebody reminding them that they need to go. They'll use bathrooms in different settings. You will notice that you are not spending as much money on pull-ups, which is always a good thing. And those skills are increasing. And, you know, one thing to say about toilet training success is we are still in support mode, and especially, for example, like if your child is any kind of, you know, camps, classes, or an adult in an employment setting, and they are learning how to go to the bathroom on their own without somebody telling them. If they get up to go to the bathroom and somebody said, you know, maybe says, "Hey, where are you going?" That can a person might lose some steps in that process. So make sure that, you know, at school, work, camps, classes, that they know where your child is at in terms of learning how to use the bathroom, and that they might need support in being able to go to the bathroom on their own without we need to let the teacher know, but maybe there's a way to support that so they can still be spontaneous. And then you celebrate, and then toileting becomes a natural part of every day, and you don't have to think about it anymore, which is where we all want to be. So these are, if you want to dig a little deeper, these are the references that we use to develop this training, and I talked about tethered cord before, and here's that reference here at the bottom. So we are ready for Q&A. Are there any questions, Jenny? Oh, okay. So are there, this is the time for questions. So if you have any questions and any specific challenges that you maybe could use some problem solving, throw them out there. Anybody? Okay. While you guys are thinking of your questions, you guys will get an email after this training, which will, there's an evaluation, the presentation, so you have a copy of that. If you need a certificate, there'll be a certificate. Oh, the evaluation is at the end of the webinar. So at the end of the webinar, take the evaluation, and then you get an email with the PowerPoint, a certificate, and also we will pull up some social stories examples to send you. What's that? No questions? Okay. Oh. Okay. So can you say the question out loud? Can you? Oh, your headset's not working. Okay. So I can see the question, right? If I click on this. Okay, I don't see the question. Oh, questions. Okay, so the question is some ideas on overcoming fear of the toilet. Also, my child likes to play in the sink, and this is a problem. Ideas on how to curb this beyond locking the bathroom. So the routine, in terms of like playing in the sink, one thing that you might try is creating a routine around when it's okay to play in the sink. So there's an outlet for that at other times, or maybe a different sink that isn't the bathroom sink, or water play happens in a different location in the house. Maybe it's not the sink. So meeting the need of needing to play in water in a different location or at a different time. So there's that. So when it's time to go to the bathroom, it's not time to play in the sink. And over time, the child will learn, water play happens here, not here. Some of the tips on the desensitization slide might be helpful for overcoming fear of the toilet, and it's getting that kind of profile of the challenge is helpful, of knowing what the fear looks like. So that would be maybe the question for you, and if you wanted to add more context to that, but for you and your own approach to it, is what does the fear look like? Is it running away from the bathroom? Is it, not wanting to sit on the toilet? Is it not wanting things to go in the toilet? And around that fear, that's where a social story might be helpful about, what the toilet is a tool. It's not a big scary monster. And, we use the toilet for these things, and and I've worked with some kids that need to know where the pee and poop go. Like they need the whole story before they will sit on that toilet. So having all the information might be helpful about the entire process and understanding that, again, the toilet is a tool, not a terror. And then that modeling as well, and it depends on the age. When our kids get a little bit older, we don't necessarily want to model for them, but seeing what going to the bathroom looks like, if that feels comfortable for you, can help with overcoming that fear as well. Because what's hard about locks on the bathroom is then that spontaneous going to the bathroom is the child's not able to do that. So there's also for water play, if you need to kind of pull out the big guns, and don't let your child see you do this, but turning off the water to the sink before they use the bathroom, and that, and then maybe you're just locking the cabinet where where the water goes, and maybe you're washing your hands and outside of the bathroom. But that would be like a more extreme measure. Ideally, we're going to try the other things first before we're doing environmental changes to the environment. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a hard time pulling up these questions. Okay. So I have I'm seeing a different question about replacement for. Oh, okay. So, okay, here's the question, sorry. Any ideas to support changing the behavior, providing a replacement behavior for a child who likes to flush toys, objects, or children who just like to watch the flush repeatedly? This is a really challenging one. A couple of different things that you could do. You could make a video of repeated flushing, and so you can the toilet is a tool, and if you want to watch flushing, you can pull up the video. So that would be one example of replacement behavior. Lost the question. So for the flushing of objects, I've tried a couple different things. One of those, you can buy a small version of these. They're the funnels that you might see the large size of at the mall, where you put a penny in them, and it swirls around and then the penny goes in. They make small versions of those, and I've recommended that in the past, and I'm not sure if it worked because I didn't stick around long enough to see if it worked. But I recommended that in the past for somebody as a replacement behavior to seeing something going kind of going down like a flush. And do you got any things that you tried, Jenny? So making like, so if it's the sound of the toilet flushing, making like an MP3 of that they can listen to over and over and over again, and maybe if they'll use headphones so you don't have to listen to it over and over again as well. The flushing is difficult. A social story could help with that as well, to understand the process of what's supposed to go in the toilet and what isn't. The other thing is, if they like the plumber, maybe the goal is seeing something being fixed, and then the replacement behavior would be creating a time where you can, a time and a place that's not in the bathroom, where you can play with pipes and tools, or being able to meet that need in different ways, where if they like seeing something being fixed, and that's why they're creating the thing that needs to be fixed. Yeah, and I have heard that there are catchers that you can have, and you have to have that installed, right? Oh, okay. So so there's Jenny is sharing that there's like a hat that you can put in the toilet. Now, if the child's just going to remove it, that doesn't do you any good. But there's also things that you can have installed in the line, in the sewage line below the toilet, that will catch items that are that won't go through, shouldn't go through, like keys or earrings or stuffed animals and things like that. Let's see, is it bathroom in the community? Okay, so how do you prepare someone for using the bathroom in the community? Some toilets are noisy and scary for kids. That's where I think researching the toilets ahead of time, if you can, we can't always do that, but that would be my first recommendation. Okay, we're going to go to the Y, let me go check out the bathrooms and see what the bathroom situation is, and maybe take a picture of that bathroom, get us, is it a strong flush? So you are prepared ahead of time. If the person will tolerate headphones, bring headphones for them to wear when they flush, or allow them to exit and you flush for them. And you can start that desensitization process over time of learning how to tolerate the flush. So you could, for example, make an MP3 or a video of a really, really strong flush that's really scary and noisy, and have the person watch it on no volume, and then slowly over time increase the volume so they're listening to it at full volume. So away from that community toilet, like the ones at the airport I know are really, really loud and strong. That would be one that you might want to video. So over time they're getting used to the noise at a gradual pace. And again, bring the headphones, prepare ahead of time, flush for them if you need to, if you're in that support role. Can you email the slides to print off? Yes, we will do that. Any other questions? Those are really good questions. Thank you. And if you want to email, if you think of questions afterwards, oh, I wish I would have asked, you can email me. If I can type in here. Okay, Jenny's going to put my email in there. So if you have any questions, email me afterwards, and no promises, but we do some brainstorming and resource sharing with you as well. I know that toileting is a tough one, so. All right, I think we're going to close this presentation. Thank you very much, and email me if you have questions.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Everybody, if you would like some more information about our services or to learn more about upcoming training opportunities, please visit our website at www.otac.org. And remember, after we close out the training today, there is going to be a brief survey that's going to pop up, and we sure do appreciate it if you take just a moment to answer the questions, because your feedback is very helpful to us. On behalf of the staff here at OTAC, thank you. Have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.